We've been able to use the funds to help market what Latinos Unidos is planning on doing for in the community.
For Katallasso, this is our almost a holiday on our calendar now at our organization, where we're raising well over 2 months worth of operating expenses, and we're able to provide over $300,000 of benefit to the community just from this one day.
York Day Nursery has benefited greatly from Give Local York. Over the past few years, we were able to pay our staff over the state-mandated shutdown because of Give Local York, as well as install new security cameras, get a new phone system. These are all through different years, and also keep up with the increasing need for personal protective equipment during the coronavirus.
The money that we've gotten from Give Local York has been very helpful in scholarship monies for children that have been affected by cancer. And we service over 500 patients per year, and that money has been very helpful in education and giving back to cancer patients in the community.
Means that we are able to continue to hold our summer day camp for kids. As you know, with COVID, this year was especially important for kids to be able to get together and join and be with other kids after being separated so long. So we have a summer day camp for kids ages 6 to 13, and normally it runs for 6 weeks during the summer, but what our goal was this year was to make it 8 weeks because we felt it was so important for kids to be able to get together. And so we were able to do that with the funds from Give Local York. We would not have been able to do 8 weeks this year, so that was a big help for us.
I would have to say, especially this year through COVID, Give Local York made a huge impact for us in that we were not able to do any of our fundraising in events that we usually do during the year, but Give Local York allowed us to keep our staff in place and transition to a different type of program development as far as getting meals and activities and engaging our older adults in the Spring Grove and Hanover community. So we ended up doing over 30,000 takeout meals to our seniors population. And we also switched over to a virtual platform for our programming. So we initiated Zoom, we taught our members how to use Zoom, we helped them with their technology, and we provided fitness and engaging programs through the Zoom platform. And all of that would not have been possible if we weren't able to keep our staff in place and transition those activities.
Tangible impact, we've been able to purchase mattresses for our single room residents. We have been able to purchase welcome baskets for some of our other locations that include cleaning products and that type of thing. We have also been working on a transportation to the grocery store program at one of our elderly and disabled locations. So there's a lot of good things coming out of Give Local York for us.
Give Local York allows us to reach more veterans in need. It allows us to help more veterans in need. The PTSD program that we're taking them for now is somewhat expensive, and we cover the lodging and transportation if necessary too. So Give Local York this year will be everything to us to help us get through this.
It's really twofold. One is it's not only about raising the funds, but it's also about the community awareness for maybe people who don't know about our organization to get to know us. We're right over here on the 400 of Market, and people drive by every day. So it's also an awareness piece, but it's also creating some of that fiduciary and financial support that maybe from people who don't normally give to our organization to get them to know about us and allow us to do that.
Well, the tangible impact for our organization is obviously the scholarship dollars that come from the many generous donors that give to us on Give Local York Day. I know for me personally, I can personally attest to this, that my involvement in the Pennsylvania Scholarship Foundation has led to me earning over $12,000 in scholarship money and cutting my student loan debt in half. So I wouldn't be able to do that without Give Local York.
And the first thing that comes to mind for me when I think about a tangible impact of Give Local York is the engagement of our employees. So we went from a 15% employee giving annually to almost 70% of our employees contributing directly through the Give Day. That has benefits both from the perspective of certainly the dollars raised, but also just the engagement of our employees. We've long encouraged our employees to be ambassadors for our organization, but this was a really tangible way for them to act on that then created ripple effects and other opportunities for engagement throughout the year in different efforts. And the bottom line, it was fun. It is fun for our staff, and helps bring our mission to life in a way that without the vehicle of Give Local York, we'd have difficulty doing.
The Reid Menzer Memorial Skate Park has been participating in Give Local York since its founding year, and it has been an absolute godsend to us. We're a completely volunteer organization. We have no management structure, no fundraising capability, no credit card processing capability on our own. And by participating in Give Local, we get all of those tools, and we can concentrate on one day to raise the money we need for the park.
It would be tough to raise dollars that you can use any way you like to help your organization thrive. Usually most dollars through grants have specific uses.
Well, Give Local York has allowed us to be able to raise just additional funds in a quicker way, let's say, for our organization. So without Give Local York, we would likely be limited in the amount of services that we would be able to provide. While we would continue to strive to provide great services, the reality is that without the funds from our donors, we would not be able to provide services such as labs and services such as x-rays or medications are the biggest ones. We have collaborators that help us in other areas, but one thing like keeping our med room stocked would be very difficult to do without funds that we raise during Give Local York. Well, it's really created an opportunity for people to give to the nursery who might otherwise have feel left out of the philanthropic space. Because it's online and it runs on small donations, it feels like there's a lot more of a community that can get involved in Give Local York and therefore become interested and learn more about York Day Nursery.
These past 18 months have been very challenging for everyone, especially nonprofit organizations, and Give Local York has been a very important outlet for raising money for patients with cancer in the community and helping our organization continue to support them, given the fact that we couldn't do a lot of the fundraising that we usually do.
We have a quote that we like to use at Bell that is, each one of us can make a difference. Together, we make change. And that to me is what Give Local York is all about, because each one of our staff people who are coming in and doing their best, every donor who's giving $5, $500, $5,000, it all makes a difference. And the change that it affects is really about building a stronger community because we're lifting people up.
Well, I have to say Give Local York has become our biggest fundraiser of the year. We do a lot of different types of fundraising, raffles and food sales and that type of thing, but nothing compares to the fundraising that we can do through Give Local York. And to be able to also market our program and services to the greater York area and not just regionally has also been huge. We have reached people that have a special interest in our mission. They may not have any attachment other than they know what we do now and what services we provide. So if Give Local York went away, we'd not be able to engage and not be able to market our programming county-wide like we do. That's a big one. It's allowed us to expand our footprint in this county. It's allowed us to become much better known through the publicity and the promotion of Give Local York for our organization. It's been really effective in expanding our fundraising, so that's really important.
Allowing us to share our story and our mission statement, whether that's with community members, with individuals, with other businesses, that has what we could not do without.
This year, obviously, the funds that we got from Give Local York helped us to fill a gap to provide the food. We had somebody that always donated to provide food for our Lehman shelter and our kids, and Give Local York filled that gap because that person passed away and was no longer able to give to us. So Give Local York funds actually went to provide the daily meals that our kids have in our crisis nursery. It also provided for staff that when we needed some overtime to provide more care for kids because of the demand, obviously, of the pandemic. There's more parents that need respite care, and there's more kids that just need a break from the world at this time.
I think that Give Local York has allowed for better employee engagement of donors and volunteers in our organization, and specifically engaging our board in a way that would not have been possible without this vehicle.
The great thing about Give Local for a small organization like ours, the Reid Menzer Skate Park, is it really makes 1 + 1 + 1 equal about 10. Meaning, if we were trying to get attention for the skate park on one day a year to raise money, we would be just sort of shouting into the wind. But by putting the effort together collectively and bringing the professional fundraising services of Give Local and all its participating organizations together, it really allows a small, completely volunteer organization like ours to really, really amp up our ability to reach our supporters.
If Give Local York went away and did not exist, we would be looking, we'd be scrambling for other ways to do this. It has really been, we've been able to build a campaign around it to engage our donors, to engage our supporters, be able to tell our stories. We would simply have to find other ways to do that.
And if Give Local York went away, that would just impact the amount of people that we would be able to serve. While we would continue to serve graciously the people in York County that are uninsured, the reality is that without the funds, we would not be able to do it in the level that we are hoping to continue to do it now and in the future.
It would be terrible if Give Local York went away. It is such a community program, and we reach out to new people and new people meet us. Again, I really feel like it's a way that people can give to the nursery without going through the traditional channels of philanthropy. It's a way for people to feel like they're part of a community, part of this community being York and our community being York Day Nursery. We would really suffer if it went away. It's a really important source of our annual fundraising goals.
If Give Local York went away, that would be a detriment to York County. I think that this organization has done a phenomenal job helping organizations in York County.
I don't even want to think about it. It's something that we didn't know we were missing, I think, until it came to us. And now that it's here and it's part of our strategies, I would say, but it's also part of what keeps us going now. I think if it went away, we'd lose some motivation. We would definitely feel a little less connected to our community, because that's one of the things that it's done, is that it helps us to be seen as a part of this bigger whole that is York County, and that we are all in it together.
It would severely hamper what we could do. We'd have to either cut programs or cut the number of kids that we could take. Certainly, we'd not be able to do the program to its full capacity that is so important for the youth of York County.
That's a good question, because this past year we raised over $40,000, and with a little over $300,000 budget, that's huge, and it would be really difficult to make up those funds. You know, we've talked many times about initiating a membership fee for our members, and we've always said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to provide as many programs and services as we can to any senior, irregardless of their financial status. And if we didn't have Give Local, you know, we might have to start charging for some of those programs, and we really don't want to have to do that.
Wow, that's really hard. If Give Local York went away now, we've kind of grown our fundraising around Give Local York, And if it went away, we could never manage the same level of platform for awareness or for fundraising that we've been able to gather through Give Local York.
That would be a big chunk out for us because last year it did really well for us. It helped us do so many things. We were getting so close to deciding if we were going to be able to keep going with COVID and everything, and Give Local York helped us keep going.
I hope it doesn't. I hope it never goes away. But I think that it's real important for this community, not only for our organization, for the funds and for that we raise, but it's really an opportunity where once a year, the 350 nonprofits in this community come together as a solidified group to put a message out to the community and say, this is what's important to us as community. This is what's important to us, not only as human service agencies and nonprofits in the community, but this is important to us as Yorkians and York people living here in York in our community. So if it went away, I think it would be a great loss to this community.
Well, that would be gravely unfortunate if Give Local York went away. I think that would create a lot, that would really limit the accessibility to scholarships that our candidates would get. And women like me who seek financial freedom and the ability to want to expand their education, I think that all of that would come to a screeching halt. And that's not something that I want to happen. So I think with Give Local York, it is a pivotal and necessary program for the community and for continuing to fund a lot of nonprofits around the York area, which is really amazing.
So if Give Local York was not part of our community, I think there would be a hole from both a nonprofit perspective and a general community perspective. It is a unique way a unique opportunity that nonprofits have to raise funds using this vehicle. There is not another replacement for it. This is a unique vehicle for fundraising and engagement that it would not be replaced with anything else that currently exists.
Yeah, if Give Local were not to exist, I honestly don't know what we would do to replace the funds that we've been able to raise. It would be very hard to muster the volunteer time and energy and the one-day focus, and we would have to create an entire fundraising and money processing, donation processing infrastructure online that we don't have now. Really, it would be a big challenge, and my guess is a lot of the funds we're now raising would simply go away.
We would obviously continue to look into grants, and we would look at continuing to raise funds through other fundraising methods. But if Give Local York did not exist, we just don't know. It would have to be just a bigger hustle.
Yeah, and I don't think we could come up with a better idea. It wouldn't be nearly as fun to engage the community and the way the whole community comes around us. It creates a lot of energy, and it's great to be participating with a lot of other organizations all at once. It's just a great day, a lot of energy, and if it went away, we wouldn't be nearly having as much fun.
Absolutely.
We would have to stretch ourselves further in terms of fundraising capacity. We feel like having Give Local York in the spring of each year is a really important milestone to get us through our fiscal year and towards the summer. It's another way that we can reach out to the people who are supportive of York Day Nursery. And if we didn't have Give Local York, there would be a really long time between when people are hearing from our organization. And so we would really miss it if it weren't around.
If we didn't have Give Local York, we'd have to regroup and look at different resources for getting funding, but it's getting more and more challenging, and Give Local York has been a genuine asset.
We do have some governmental funding that we use to support our programs, but honestly, it covers only the basics, the very basics, and with any kinds of funding cuts or anything like that, when the budgets are passed, we're at the mercy of that. So having a community that really believes in our mission and our vision of a community where everyone is valued and respected and lives with dignity, that means something. And it we do rely on that. And so even though we do have some other funding sources and grants and fundraisers and all of those things that a nonprofit does, something like Give Local York really, it gives us something extra, something that we are coming to count on, and we're willing to put the effort into it because it's successful. It's a successful operation for the whole county and especially for Bell Socialization Services.
That is a great question. We would certainly have to rely on our very generous donors to be even more generous, and I'm not sure how that would work. So we are certainly very grateful for Give Local York.
Well, we'd be working really hard to get the funds from the community, as we always do. But boy, Give Local York really gives us a boost that we look forward to every year.
Well, we would get funds again through, asks, in-kind donations, grants, but having Give Local York be a part of what we do would definitely share that we are not just in schools, but also in the community as well.
Currently, we fundraise all year long, and it is very tedious. We do anything we can to raise money, from bike rides to motorcycle rides to bingos to setting up at events. But Give Local York is such a huge chunk, and it reaches so many in the community that could help us.
Obviously, we'd have to ask people to give us those funds or write more grants or find other donors that would do that. So it's a real opportunity, again, like I said, to connect with the community, to connect with businesses here in downtown York, and to just where we also run our business. So we're a business owner also here in downtown New York. So it's to connect with those for-profit businesses and bring the nonprofit and the for-profit together. And I think that we would just have to go out to other places. So this is a real easy way for us to connect with the community and connect with those funds.
Well, primarily, I think that we would rely on funds of kind people, very similar to the people that give to Give Local York. And so I think it would be, I think it would really put a limit on the accessibility that we have to the scholarship funding that we get currently from Give Local York. So it would be a lot more difficult to get those scholarship funds. But I think that Give Local York is a really, really important part of why our organization is so successful. And I think that we are better because of Give Local York, and I'm thankful for that.
As an organization that provides healthcare and other related services, we definitely have other funding sources that support our core business. The unique tool that Give Local York provides us is to raise dollars for innovative work, for dollars that are not covered by some of the government funds that we receive. So Give Local York really allows us to experiment, to try new things, to expand services, kind of ahead of the curve of government funds. And that's always how private funds have worked within our organization, and Give Local York has provided a boost to our ability to be able to innovate in a space that's so needed, healthcare for vulnerable populations. And without it, again, we would be looking to donors in different ways or struggling to fill that gap and working even harder to gather the funds that we need to fulfill our mission.